DG Tuscaloosa, a Town Square media station. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Are you guys sick and tired of spending $100 to $200 to $300 on a nice meal? If that's the case, then you need to go by a place that keeps a little money in your pocket. I'm talking about South's Finest Meats, which features Black Angus prime selection of steaks. You can find them at 3201 10th Avenue, right there in Tuscaloosa. South's Finest Meats is a company that believes in great customer service, fair pricing, and a place where you are appreciated. Go by and see them today right there at South's Finest Meats. You are locked in on the Stingray Show, and coming up, we have some amazing baseball matchups this upcoming weekend. And on this edition of the Stingray Show, we are going to be joined by legendary baseball coach over at Mississippi State, Coach Ron Polk, and we are going to dive into SEC baseball talk with Southeastern 14's own Chris Lee. That's all ahead on this edition of the Stingray Show. Guys, we've got a lot to cover, so let's get things rocking and rolling right here on the Stingray Show.
Hi, this is Tim Brando with a reminder. Those of you on Tide 100.9, look out. You're about to feel the buzz of Stingray.
This is Stephen Ray, a.k.a. Stingray, coming to you live from Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
I'm Heath Hopkins. I'm here in DeSoto County, Mississippi, right outside of Memphis, Tennessee.
You know, Mark, I'm going to put you on the spot. Do you feel that responsibility to pay it forward and give some kid a chance coming up in the ranks, kind of like Tony did for you?
Why do you think I'm talking to Stingray tonight?
Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
No, I mean, look, no.
Hey, Stingray, here's the deal. When you get involved with Texas, it's like getting married to a stripper. and let me explain this. It looks good. It's kind of sexy on the surface. Yeah. But then you get the baggage, you get the drama, you get all that eventually comes with it. And that's what you get with Texas, and that's what the Big 12 learned.
And Heath, any thoughts on our show moving forward?
Hey, to everyone in Tuscaloosa listening here on Tide 100.9. With the Stingray Show, if you don't like it, you better learn to love it, because it's the best show going today, baby. Woo!
And ladies and gentlemen, with all of that, we want to welcome you inside the Stingray Show. Heath, how are things with you?
Well, SEC baseball is already on its way for the weekend. You know, Steven, I don't care how games end. It's baseball season, man. It's always fun to go to the ballpark. Even if you win or lose, you always leave the ballpark happier.
So, Heath, do you also know what is this weekend? And I'll give you a hint. It is huge.
What do you got? What you referring to?
Talladega, man. It is Talladega weekend. So I've got to ask you, have you ever been to Talladega?
Nothing wrong with Talladega. You know, I've stayed a couple of nights at Talladega before. I've enjoyed Talladega for multiple reasons, but Talladega is fun. It is fun. You know, I guess if you could put Mardi Gras around the sport, it would definitely be Talladega.
So, unfortunately, I do want to add that it's probably going to be a little bit wet for the Sunday race up there. So we're going to have another system move into the area. So if you are going to Talladega this weekend, make sure you take the rain gear and keep up with the latest information, because there could be a potential rain delay or even a postponement of the race due to rain on Sunday.
Yeah, you know, Stephen, you know more about the weather than the rest of us. Sometimes the most fun that you have, especially out of races during rain delays, you get to goof around, you get to have some fun. Everyone gets to have a little bit of fun. But, yeah, looking forward to the weekend. Looks like we're going to have some wonderful weather all over the Southeast. A lot more spring games going to be played as well.
Yep.
A lot were played last weekend. More will be played this weekend. So looking forward to all that. Of course, the transfer portal's open. Everyone's favorite, right?
Everybody's jumping around, dude, in the transfer portal. It's crazy.
Yeah, look, if you don't have anything on tape and have a lot of playing experience, you probably don't want to get in the transfer portal.
So, Heath, I do want to also mention, did you hear what happened last night in the NBA?
No, man. My 5-year-old baseball team, the Dinos, were winning their first game, and my 8U softball team, the American Dreams, they were going like crazy. So I was at the ballpark all on Tuesday. I did not get any news out of the NBA.
A pretty big figure in the NBA announced his retirement, and that is one Blake Griffin, who played 13 seasons for the Clippers as well as other teams. He is calling it quits and retiring out of the NBA. So that is a big loss for the NBA. Once again, Blake Griffin has announced his retirement.
Blake Griffin had a good career. He fought some injuries earlier in his career. But you can't play forever. Charles Barkley said it best. I think I said this on the show here about a month or so ago. The body only has so many jumps in it. Charles Barkley talked about that. And everyone's different. Some have 1,000 jumps, some have 1 billion jumps. But once you reach your quota on jumps, your body can't take it anymore. And I think Blake's there. I think he realizes that his body can't take it anymore.
So that is the only thing that we're going to mention about the NBA moving forward is when there are major retirements like Blake Griffin, because I remember watching Blake Griffin when he started out with the Clippers. That, of course, was when the NBA was fun to watch.
I'd argue that the NBA hadn't been fun to watch since the 90s, but that's another story for another day.
That's fun right there. So, Heath, let's transition off of the NBA and go to something that we really enjoy doing. And that, of course, is the National Day of Today. So, Heath, I'm almost going to guarantee that your kids love these things because it is National Animal Cracker Day.
Yeah, my youngest was a big fan. Both my boys were a big fan of animal crackers. So, yeah. Wow, I didn't know that was even a thing. National Animal Cracker Day. Okay.
All right.
Put some peanut butter on those, man.
It is also National High Five Day.
We should have had DDP on again today. Self high five.
Yes.
Okay. National High Five Day.
Yep. It is also National Poem in Your Pocket Day.
All right.
That's crazy. And finally, Heath, I've got to ask you, did you partake in any of this today? It was National Exercise Day.
I did some walking. It wasn't set out to do some walking, but I was getting some things done. I was like, man, I'm getting some steps in today. I don't count my steps. But yeah, I got a little in today.
Okay, and for those of you that love food and a little bit of a tangy, spicy food, tomorrow it will be National Garlic Day. I absolutely love garlic.
Stephen, I'm a big fan of garlic. Look, years ago, right after I graduated from college, I was a young reporter in television. I got a chance to go to San Francisco. Never been to San Francisco. And there was a restaurant out there called the Stinky Rose. And every dish, it was an Italian restaurant. Every single dish there, even the desserts, had garlic in it.
Yeah.
It was the absolute best meal I had out in San Francisco. And we had a lot of good ones too.
Right.
But yeah, the Stinky Rose. I'm sure you can look it up on YouTube. Awesome stuff.
And dude, I do want to mention this because another one of my hobbies is collecting record vinyl. And so on Saturday, I want to encourage all of you to go to your local record store because on Saturday this year, it is National Record Store Day, where they have a bunch of unique releases for Record Store Day. So this Saturday is National Record Store Day for this year. So go out and make sure you go and get your favorite record at your local record shop.
You know, Stephen, I saw this not too long ago, and I'm not a jealous person, but I saw this as like, I want that. I'm not a material person, and I don't do souvenirs and collectibles and things. I don't do any of that stuff. But it was the Beastie Boy album, the vinyl of Ill Communication. Now, that CD came out when I was in college when albums were not really a thing anymore. But there's a lyric in that song, on one of the songs, said, I got mad hits like Rod Carew. Well, someone bought the album, went to a baseball card signing show where Rod Carew was at, and requested for him to write, "I got mad hits, Rod Carew." And I was like, I would love to have that hanging on my wall somewhere. Yes. I got mad hits like Rod Carew, Beastie Boys, Ill Communication, and Rod Carew's autograph on it. And hey, Rod's not a spring chicken anymore. He's kind of getting old. So yeah, if he ever comes close to the Mid-South area, in the Memphis area, I'll drive a couple of hours trying to get that autograph.
So Heath, on that note, we got to take our first break, and when we come back, we are going to be talking more SEC baseball and transfer portal news. That's on the other side of the break. You're listening to the Stingray Show. We will be right back. Do you guys like to fish? I know I do, and springtime is the perfect time to stock your pond or lake with fish such as brim, threadfin shad, and tilapia. Or are you looking for top quality automatic fish feeders, aeration systems, and fountains? If that is the case, then you need to contact Jeff Bagwell and Honey Hole Fisheries right here in Tuscaloosa. You can get in touch with Honey Hole Fisheries at 205-799-0192. Once again, that is 205-799-0192. Contact Honey Hole Fisheries today and let them help you build the lake or pond of your dreams. Citizens of West Alabama, have you heard the news? The Bank of Moundville, which was established way back in 1907, offers personal loans of all sizes, unsecured and secured, with competitive interest rates. You can contact them today at 205-371-2227. Once again, that is the Bank of Moundville, 205-371-2227, or go by and see them in downtown Moundville. They are an equal housing lender and a member of the FDIC. Residents of Tuscaloosa, are you guys upsizing, downsizing, looking for college housing, or even relocating for your job right here to Tuscaloosa? If that's the case, then you need to contact Celeste Hagler, owner and operator of First Class Real Estate South Home Group, right here in Tuscaloosa. She can help you with the buying, selling, and investment needs throughout the state of Alabama. You can contact Celeste at 205-861-5698. Reach out to Celeste again at 205. Schedule a consultation to discuss your real estate goals and to live where you love in the state of Alabama.
This report is sponsored by Unbound.org.
Tide 100.9 Traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. We've got some congestion north on Highway 69. Heading from 15th Street to Mid-Larry Road, it's a 9-minute delay. Slowing on eastbound Highway 82 from Airport Road to Jack Warner Parkway, a 3-minute delay. Railroad bridge work continuing on Skyland Boulevard near Clear.
By Fincher and Osmond. Fincher and Osmond carries artisan-created diamonds. And trust us, they are bigger than you expect. Visit www.fincherandosmond.com.
The best station in the state, breaking down Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Ladies and gentlemen, before we get to this segment, I do want to mention that this segment and the next one will sound a little bit different because Coach Ron Polk requested that we do a cell phone interview with him. So without further ado, here is our interview with the legend, Ron Polk.
Welcome back, SEC fans. You're listening to the Stingray Show here on Tide 100.9. I'm Heath Hopkins along with Stephen Ray. You're listening once again to the Stingray Show, and we have a very special guest with us. He has won more SEC games than anyone in any sport. He is known as the godfather of college baseball. He has legendary stories told about him from players, coaches, and umpires and fans from all over. He's a Hall of Famer, and we're happy to have him here on the show. Ladies and gentlemen, please help us welcome Coach Ron Polk. Coach Polk, how are you, and how is Starkville this morning?
Well, it's overcast right now. We played a game last night. We got Auburn coming in this weekend, and so we're monitoring the weather. That's what baseball coaches do, baseball broadcasters do, and people that want to come to the games. we're sold out for the next 8 years in our stadium right now, but we're very concerned about the weather for this weekend.
Those are good problems to have. Sell out for 8 years.
Yeah, well, 8. Yeah, it's a new stadium. When we built the new stadium, they had to come up front for 10 years to buy the seats, the lofts, the outfield. We got a waiting list for everything right now, so we're pretty much packed in for every SEC ball game.
Now, Coach, what do you help do on day-to-day activities there for the university there at Mississippi State?
Well, I do the color on our baseball network. We have 18 stations on the baseball network, which is probably as many as anybody in the country. And I do the color on about 80% of them with Jim Ellis, who's been our broadcaster for 46 years. And so I'll be working Friday's game, and then Saturday, Sunday, Jay Powell will be in for me. And he's a former player of mine and pitched the big leagues, and he coaches at Jackson Prep. So he does about 20, 25% of the games, and I do the rest of it. But I travel with the team. I do all the road games.
Now, Coach, looking back to your career, you were at, if I'm not mistaken, Grand Canyon State. Is that correct?
Grand Canyon College then, now Grand Canyon University, about 700 students in 1965 when I graduated. Now they got probably 25 or 30,000. Grand Canyon University right there in Phoenix, Arizona. That's where I grew up, yes.
And then after that, you were a GA at University of Arizona, correct?
I was a third base coach at the age of 22 in College World Series Wildcats, and we did not win the World Series, so that's when I basically got my start in coaching at the University of Arizona, got my master's degree there, and started my doctoral work at New Mexico as a graduate assistant in baseball. And then Miami-Dade Junior College asked me to come over there and help them coach their baseball team, and then from then on I went to Georgia Southern as the head coach for 4, University of Miami assistant for the fall, and then Mississippi State for 2 tours, 22 and then 7 to 29. In between, I coached at the University of Georgia as the head coach for 2, and the UAB in Birmingham with Brian Shoup, my former assistant coach, for 12, and then I've been back here as a special assistant of the athletic director at Mississippi State for the last 4. Kind of oversee the 12 sports here when I'm in town, but I'm not in town much because I still coach summer baseball. Did 9 tours in the Cape Cod League and now 3 in the Prospect League. So 59 years of coaching college players. So I'm gone all summer. I'm gone in the spring with the baseball team. And in January and February, I'll be booked solid high school, junior college, preseason dinners, and different types of baseball affairs, the clinics, etc. So I'm on the road all of January and February. And so that's how I stay busy. Yeah.
Absolutely amazing, Coach.
So, Coach, I do want to go back to 1976. You became the coach right there at Mississippi State. How did all of that come about for you to be able to get the head coaching job of the Mississippi State Bulldogs?
Well, when I was at Georgia Southern, 72 to 75, twice we went to regionals, NCAA regionals. I went to the College World Series my second year. Well, the regionals happened to be held at Mississippi State. That was when you didn't have to be a participating team to host a tournament. So I came to Starkville, Mississippi with the Georgia Southern baseball teams in 1973. We won the tournament, went to Omaha, 74th. We got beat by Miami, I think it was. And so they got to know me. And so I was the head coach there at Georgia Southern. And then I left there to go back to Miami where I used to be and became an assistant with Ron Fraser at Miami in the fall. And then Jimmy Bregan, the head coach of Mississippi State, took a job with the Milwaukee Brewers with Alex Grammas, the former Mississippi State star. Jimmy went as the third base coach. So they asked me to come up, and they offered me the job without me even interviewing, and came up and decided to take it in December of 1975, inherited the team from Jimmy Bregan, and then from that point in time, the rest is history.
Coach, looking at the game today, and we're not going to mention any names, but we could talk about Major League Baseball, college baseball, anything. You see some of these players get upset about hard slides, and you know, I'm 48 years old, and I just kind of want to yell, like, do you not know how it used to be? You know, do you see, what side do you stand on this? Because I think hard slides are a part of the game. It is what it is. It's just hustle baseball. It's good baseball.
Well, the new rules that protected the middle infielders a lot. You know, you can't slide left or right of the base, and you got to finish at the base. And so, I think the rules do protect them, but there's still going to be some contact. I mean, that's to be expected as long as you don't come in spikes up at all. Home plate, they protect the catcher because, you know, the catcher can't block the plate. So, you know, basically, I think there's rules to protect the base runner rounding third base heading for the plate. But basically what the rules makers want, they do want to be able to make tags and get force outs without being fearful of your body. And but it's still going to happen. And whether the kids handle it better now than they did then, I don't know. But it used to be open warfare at second base on slides and breaking up double plays. And when I did 7 years as a coach of the USA national team with them at 2 Olympics, and the slide rules there are just non-existent. And we're playing in Cuba and Nicaragua and all those places, and you just fear for your lives when on double play pivots and home plate. So, but the rules protect the kids, and that's what it's all about. But it makes it tough on umpires, and thankfully we have game review now, and they can go back and look at it. But we didn't have game review when I was in the SEC, and so, you know, we used to have a lot of arguments. There's no arguments anymore except for balls and strikes. Everything else is done by the video.
So, Coach, you just mentioned it right there that you coached the national team there during your career. And one of our good friends and legendary pitcher, Ben McDonald, was on a couple of those teams. Do you happen to have any fun Ben McDonald stories that you could share with us, please?
Well, Ben was with me for 5 months in the 1988 Olympic team, and what a great person, a great pitcher for us, and had a great career. I think he got injured and cut short. I think he's still broadcasting a little with the Orioles. He introduced me a couple of years ago when I was speaking at Denham Springs, Louisiana, his home. But no, I got into a knockout, drag-out recruiting war for Ben. You know, he was a basketball player also, and a baseball player, and he played basketball at LSU and a star baseball player. But he narrowed it down to LSU and Mississippi State. So I got a picture in my house and my museum of Ben basically saying that I was the second favorite coach to Skip Bertman. So that's the Ben McDonald story. But we stay in touch, and I see him every once in a while during the SEC broadcast.
Right. Coach, when we had Ben on the show, he talked about you and Skip Bertman going back and forth, saying Skip Bertman said, I heard an F5 tornado went through Starkville and did $5 million of improvements. Tell us a little bit about that interaction, please.
Well, Skip and I go way back. We were three times we were on the USA national teams, 2 Olympic teams, and we even played fast pitch softball in Miami when he was young and I was young. And then he took the job at LSU, and I was still at Mississippi State. That was probably one of the top baseball rivalries, especially in the southeastern area of the country. But we ended up 35-35 against each other. But Skip won more national championships than I did. So, but no, I do. In fact, I did a roast for Skip on his 80th birthday in Baton Rouge, and about 400 people at that roast, and I was the only bulldog in the room. But Skip and I go way, way back. But that rivalry was intense between LSU and Mississippi State, big crowds at batting practice. And that's when the old stadiums are up, and you better get your seat before batting practice so you don't get a seat.
Right.
So, Coach, hold that thought because we're up against break. And when we come back, we are going to continue the interview with SEC legendary coach Ron Polk.
Okay.
That's on the other side of the break. You're listening to the Stingray Show. We will be right back. It is Girl Scout cookie time. And if you guys like Girl Scout cookies, Strange Brew Coffee House now offers Girl Scout cookie frappes at all locations, including Samoa, Thin Mint, and Tagalong. Delicious frappes are made with real Girl Scout cookies. Strange Brew Coffee House can be found at the University of Alabama campus. Also up in Tupelo, Mississippi, if you are heading up there to Tupelo, or their home location over in Starkville, Mississippi, go by and get a delicious Girl Scout cookie frappe today at one of the Strange Brew Coffee House locations. Are you guys in the mood for community goods and great barbecue? That's what you'll find at the Coker Market, located in Coker, Alabama at the four-way intersection off of County Road 140. Their hours of operation are Wednesday through Saturday, 11 a.m. until 7 p.m., and their menu items include the Midnight, which is smoked ham, smoked pork, Swiss cheese, Creole mustard, mayonnaise, and a pickle, grilled on French bread. That sandwich is absolutely amazing. Make sure you go and check out the Coker Market right there at the four-way intersection in Coker for amazing food and community goods. Are you looking for a traditional banking experience with a banker who calls you by name? Then we invite you to get to know our friends at Bryant Bank. Bryant Bank customers enjoy online banking accessible around the clock to give you the freedom and flexibility to bank your way, all backed by the people you know and trust. Get to know your Bryant
Diamonds when you see it.
More importantly, when she sees it.
FincherandOsmond.com.
McFarland Boulevard between Edgar's and Local Roots.
Follow the Crimson Tide on their journey to another national championship. Touchdown, Alabama! On your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
It is Girl Scout cookie time, and if you guys like Girl Scout cookies, Strange Brew Coffee House now offers Girl Scout cookie frappes at all locations, including Samoa, Thin Mint, and Tagalong. Delicious frappes are made with real Girl Scout cookies. Strange Brew Coffee House can be found at the University of Alabama campus, also up in Tupelo, Mississippi, if you are heading up there to Tupelo, or their home location over in Starkville, Mississippi. Go by and get a delicious Girl Scout cookie frappe today at one of the Strange Brew Coffee House locations.
Welcome back inside the Stingray Show. Hope all is well with you. Our guest this evening is former Mississippi State coach Ron Polk, who has a coaching record, had over 1,373 wins, as well as 5 SEC regular season championships and 5 SEC tournament championships. And Ron, my co-host, Heath Hopkins, actually had a quick follow-up to a question he asked you earlier. So, Heath, here is the floor.
Coach, you were talking about there in the first segment about, we got replay now, and of course you didn't have it then. If you did have replay, would your win-loss record be better or worse, in your opinion?
I tell you what, I think they protect the umpires a little bit. Again, doing the color on our network, we have access to a screen in our broadcast booth, and so we can watch the somewhat same replays that they do back in Birmingham, let's say, during the SEC ball games. And basically, I think they're right. It's very tough to overturn what the umpire saw on the field unless it's very obvious. But I think it's good. The whole key I've always said in my arguments over the years, let's get this call right. Let's get it right. Whether it goes against us or against, for us, let's get it right for the kids and the program and the fans in the stands. And so I think it's good. I think the umpires enjoy it unless they get overruled too many times because they keep track of that. Plus, the plate umpires are judged by TrackMan now, so they get a report after every game how many calls they may miss. So I think everybody's a little bit on edge as umpires because of the fact that they are capable of being reviewed on a moment's notice in a big ball game, and I think they are aware of that, and that's why we pay them big bucks to umpire in the Southeastern Conference.
There you go. Coach, I got to ask, we're about storytelling on this show. What's a funny interaction that you had with an umpire over a call? I know you've got hundreds to talk about, but what's one that you enjoy telling?
Well, the thing is, a lot of people don't realize that I got thrown out a lot, but I never cussed an umpire, bumped an umpire ever. But I had a rule in our baseball team, and I had it with the national team too. You're not to say a word to an umpire, good or bad, no bad looks, or else you're going to be sitting next to me for an extended period of time. So I had signals from the catcher to me, hitters to me, base runners to me, infielders to me, signals that, hey, I know I'm not allowed to say something, but I think they got the call wrong, come out and help me out. So I think my last year at Mississippi State, I got thrown out 7 times, 3 in Kentucky on Friday night, Saturday night, and Sunday afternoon. But basically, I was the one. Of course, a lot of times I went out there and wanted to get thrown out because we were losing by a lot, and I just wanted to get a cigar going and get back to the office. But I knew if I wanted to get thrown out, I knew the magic words to say and not a cuss word. I just say to the umpire, how did we ever get a junior high school umpire working a Southeastern Conference game? And that generally is an automatic throw out.
That's great. Coach, looking back of all your years of coaching and recruiting, other than Ben McDonald, who was one player that got away from you that you thought you just wanted to coaching, you thought it might take you to the next level or win you that national championship? Is there one guy that comes to mind right off the bat?
Well, there's a lot of guys that I signed and never showed up because they were first-round draft picks, second round. Once we lost 3 first-round draft picks, I thought we had a great recruiting year. That's what separates baseball from the other sports. You can have a great recruiting year, and then all of a sudden on draft day ended up having a bad recruiting year, and that's the problem we have in college baseball because we're at the mercy of. They got a lot more money, but now with name, image, and likeness, we can probably compete with a lot of professional baseball teams after the 10th round with our amount of money we have to collect to pay our players. But that's another story. We're involved with portals. We're involved with NIL right now. But there's a lot of guys out there that, I recruited, and I always said to them, hey, it's your decision to make. If you come to Bulldog Country, we'll take care of you. If you go someplace else, we'll still love you. We'll just try to beat you. That's all.
That's right.
So, Coach, I do want to talk about something that's happened more recently now. The Mississippi State Bulldogs were able to finally win the national championship in baseball. Walk us through the excitement that you felt when Mississippi State was named the national champion of college baseball.
Well, I was coaching up in the Cape Cod League. I did 9 tours up there with 6 with Highness and 3 with Wareham, and I was with the Wareham Club. And I did, and I was following them. We played at night, and they played at night. And so John Cohen, now the athletic director at Auburn, was the AD at Mississippi State. He's the one that asked me to become the special assistant, the athletic director. He told me, now, you go up to the Cape now. If we get to Omaha, we'd like for you to be there. I said, well, let me just see how we're doing, I don't want to go up there and they're 0-2 and I have to turn around and head back to Wareham, and I didn't want to miss any ball games up in the Cape. So I waited, and finally we get the win, and then we got bandied for 3, and they said, get your butt on a plane. So I got a plane out of Rhode Island and flew to Omaha so I could stay at the same hotel with the ball club and got a chance to see the games we played against Vandy. They gave me a little kind of a private box up in the president's booth, suite that we had for Mississippi State's president. So that's where I sat, and I got the chance to see us win the national title from afar, and I enjoyed every minute of it.
Coach, I got some relatives that work all over the SEC at different schools, and over the years I've heard stories whenever they're hiring a baseball coach that sometimes you pop up on campus and you kind of help them with their coaching search. How many schools in the SEC have you helped hire a baseball coach? Because it's a close-knit fraternity and you know everybody.
Well, occasionally I'll get calls from athletic directors, a lot with high school coaches, you know what I mean? Maybe they heard one of my players is interviewing for a job, but I don't remember ever really totally getting involved with the coaching searches in the Southeastern Conference to the point where I said yay or nay to anybody. I basically think that they're on their own and they'll make a good hire in the best interest of their program. But I don't think I ever really totally got involved and say this is the guy you want. But, Mississippi State, we've had a few changes of coaches, and really I try to keep myself away from that because, being the former coach here, I don't want to intercede on what's happening with the even though I'm around our baseball players a lot, and you know, I just don't want to be second guessing our coaches or athletic department people. And I'm kind of stay away from those type of actions.
So, Coach, my final question for you is this. You mentioned it in the first segment. Mississippi State welcomes in the Auburn Tigers this weekend for Super Bulldog Weekend. Would you please break down that game for us between Auburn and Mississippi State this weekend?
Yeah, Auburn's struggling a bit. We've been up and down ourselves. Butch Thompson, the head coach, is a dear friend of mine. He used to be an assistant at Mississippi State. And Carl Nonemaker, the recruiting coordinator, first baseman, played at Vanderbilt. I know Carl very well. Gabe Gross, I know very well. Scott Foxhole, our former pitching coach here, great friend, good coach, is with them now. And then Greg Dry, their baseball operations director, was with me at Mississippi State as an ops guy too. So, you know, when we're playing Auburn, I feel like I'm playing against I'm in the radio booth. I'm not in the dugout, but I feel like I want to root for them, but at the same time, when they're playing our Bulldogs, I can't do that.
Coach, my final question to you is this. All the years that you've coached, whether you're a GA, the USA team, the Olympic team, Cape Cod, Mississippi State, Georgia, UAB, Georgia Southern, wherever you were, when did you have the most fun coaching baseball? When you look back, what was the absolute most fun you ever had to coach?
Well, I tell you what, the whole gamut, really. I mean, with USA Baseball, there was a lot of pressure. I was the head coach twice, and once if we didn't do well in Cuba, we would not be in Barcelona for the Olympics in 1992. So, you know, I like pressure. I like to have the opportunity to be coaching when something's on the line. That was probably the most online thing. If we don't come in third place in a 10-team tournament in Havana, Cuba, we don't go to the Olympics. The national pastime's not represented in the Olympics. And so, you know, that type of thing, is that fun? No, at times it is, but at the same time, it kind of stirs your juices as a coach. You know, you got to compete and make sure the players are aware of the circumstances if they don't play hard and do what they have to do. But I think I've had fun a lot and just the interaction with players, but I'm having more fun right now staying in touch with all my guys, and I got a lot of them out there, and I do a pretty good job of staying in touch with just about everybody that I coached.
So, Coach Polk, thank you, as always, for taking time out of your schedule to join us, and the floor is all yours for any final say that you would like to.
No, we got the Alabama Crimson Tide coming in pretty soon. In fact, there's 3 boys in the Alabama team that played for me in the summer. And so I've got guys all over still, because summer baseball, we got 30, 35 kids, and they scatter after the summer, and they're playing on some of the teams that I get to see play us at Mississippi State and one on the road. So I remember we went to Texas A&M a few weeks ago when there were 7 players in the dugouts for Texas A&M and Mississippi State that played for me in the summertime. So I had 4 at Texas A&M and 3 in the Mississippi State dugout. So I get to coach them in the summer. I get to watch them play in person. Isn't that great?
That's awesome, Coach.
Absolutely.
So, Coach, let me just go ahead and say this. Enjoy the weekend series versus Auburn, and I will leave you with this. Hail State, Coach.
Attaboy. Appreciate you guys. Take care.
All right.
Thanks, Coach.
All right. Bye.
So Heath, that, of course, is going to wrap up the interview there with legendary Mississippi State baseball coach Ron Polk, and we are up against another break. And when we come back, we are going to be joined by none other than Chris Lee of Southeastern 14 to continue the breakdown of SEC baseball this weekend. That's on the other side of the break. You're listening to the Stingray Show. Guys, we will be right back with Chris Lee of Southeastern 14.
On the next Inside the Locker Room with Coach Wimp Sanderson and Barry Sanderson.
Tune in Thursday, 7:30. We'll talk with J.C. Sherbert. We'll talk to J.C. about what's going on with the transfer portal across the country in college football. We'll take your phone calls in the second hour. We'll also look at all the Alabama basketball players in the transfer portal and find out what direction they'll be going next.
Inside the Locker Room, weekdays 7 to 9 a.m. on Tide 100.9 and Tide100.9.com.
For 75 years and counting, the Tuscaloosa Farmers Co-op has been serving West Alabama for all of their hunting, outdoor, gardening, and farming needs, as well as seasonal flowers and vegetables. And this year is no different. The Spring Co-op Plant Sale goes on from March the 25th through May the 11th. Pick any 5 for $20. Mix any varieties. That is the Spring Plant Sale at the Tuscaloosa Farmers Co-op. The Tuscaloosa Farmers Co-op is located in Northport, Alabama, just west of the Highway 82 and 43 intersection at 4301 McFarland Boulevard in Northport. Go by there and see them today for their Spring Plant Sale, March the 25th through May the 11th, only at the Tuscaloosa Farmers Co-op. Are you guys sick and tired of spending $100 to $200 to $300 on a nice meal? If that's the case, then you need to go by a place that keeps a little money in your pocket. I'm talking about South's Finest Meats, which features Black Angus prime selection of steaks. You can find them at 3201 10th Avenue, right there in Tuscaloosa. South's Finest Meats is a company that believes in great customer service, fair pricing, and a place where you are appreciated. Go by and see them today right there at South's Finest Meats. Citizens of West Alabama, have you heard the news? The Bank of Moundville, which was established way back in 1907, offers personal loans of all sizes, unsecured and secured, with competitive interest rates. You can contact them today at 205-371-2227. Once again, that is the Bank of Moundville, them in downtown Moundville. They are an equal housing lender and a member of the FDIC.
This report is sponsored by the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation.
Tide 100.9 Traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. Looking up pretty good on westbound Highway 82 from Jack Warner Parkway to Airport Road. It's a 1-minute delay. Road work continues on McWright's Ferry Road. It's being extended down to Rice Mine Road.
Bowel disease research and care for over 50 years. Learn more about research, education, and support at Crohn'sColitisFoundation.org.
The best sports talk in the state. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
For 75 years and counting, the Tuscaloosa Farmers Co-op has been serving West Alabama for all of their hunting, outdoor, gardening, and farming needs, as well as seasonal flowers and vegetables. And this year is no different. The Spring Co-op Plant Sale goes on from March the 25th through May the 11th. Pick any 5 for $20. Mix any varieties. That is the Spring Plant Sale at the Tuscaloosa Farmers Co-op. The Tuscaloosa Farmers Co-op is located in Northport, Alabama, just west of the Highway 82 and 43 intersection at 4301 McFarland Boulevard in Northport. Go by there and see them today for their Spring Plant Sale, March the 25th through May the 11th, only at the Tuscaloosa Farmers Co-op. Welcome back inside the Stingray Show. Hope all is well with you guys. And now we are about to get to our weekly guest who we've not had on in a few weeks due to timing difficulties and scheduling difficulties. But nonetheless, here is our guest this evening, none other than Chris Lee from Southeastern 14, to get all things baseball related. Here is Chris Lee. Chris, how in the world are things with you, my friend?
Busy, but it's fun. It's fun time with SEC baseball. We were headed to the home stretch where we decide all kinds of important stuff like who hosts and who gets a national seed and who gets into Hoover and left out. And boy, there's going to be a lot of great series coming up.
Chris, I'm a little offended for you. Stephen called you a guest. You're a friend, man. You're a friend of the show. You've been a long-time friend.
You know, I think you can be both. I think in America, you can still be a friend and a guest. So I just take what I can get.
There you go.
So, Chris, I do want to take you back to Saturday night in what happened in Oxford, Mississippi between Mississippi State and Ole Miss. Mike Bianco getting tossed after the Johnny Long bat flip. Your thoughts on that entire situation that happened Saturday night that ultimately led to Ole Miss coming back and walking off that game?
Boy, Johnny Long's been in the middle of some stuff lately, first of all. Yep. Second of all, I followed it on Twitter. I was busy with some other stuff and watching some other series when I could. So, look, I don't like – I guess it's a bigger picture thing. I don't like a lot of what baseball has become with the bat flips and the showing people up. I mean, I don't know whatever happened to just – I'm not saying take the excitement out of the game. But when you're doing stuff that's incendiary and you get called out on it, to me, that's on you as a player. And I don't know. I don't know where we need to get back to having some just make a play and celebrate it without doing it in a demonstrative and inflammatory way. But it feels like that's where we are with college baseball. And I don't know how you get all that back in the box.
Now, Chris, let's move to a couple of series this upcoming weekend. The first one I want to touch on is the Friday, Saturday, Sunday series between number 4 Tennessee at number 3 Kentucky. Your thoughts on the Vols at the Cats?
Man, I think that is going to be one of the most interesting series of this college baseball year, maybe the most interesting one in the league. I mean, certainly I think it's a top 5, and here's the reason. These teams were built in exact opposite ways. Okay, Tennessee is built pitching-wise on striking guys out, and it is built hitting-wise on hitting home runs. Now, some of that, Tennessee hits a lot of home runs because it plays in a little bit of a bandbox of a ballpark. But these guys also are big and strong enough to hit home runs other places. Right now, you got Christian Moore and Blake Burke, who both just set the school record for home runs and are now tied with each other for the all-time home run leader mark at Tennessee. So we'll see who owns that at the end of the season as these guys continue to go head-to-head. On the other hand, you have Kentucky, which has built its team in a very 1980s style fashion. Pitching-wise, they keep the ball on the ground. They go long starts. 2 weekends ago, guys, they had 3 starters against Alabama that all went 7+ innings.
That's amazing.
I don't know that you've seen that in an SEC series all year. I don't think you have.
I can't even remember the last time it's even happened, period.
No, I mean, they keep the ball on the ground. They don't hit a lot of home runs. I think they've hit 51 as a team. I think that's the highest or the lowest number outside of Vanderbilt in the league. They steal bases, they bunt, they run. And I think when you are used to an atmosphere in which it's gorilla ball and guys hitting 3-run home runs and teams win that way, okay, you play against your own guys. So I think teams are running into things that they don't see in practice that Kentucky can do on a day-to-day basis. Maybe the act of zigging where everyone else is zagging goes to Nick Mingione's advantage. Yeah. No, look, I don't think Kentucky is 14-1 in the SEC good. A lot of that's been product of the schedule. But I think these teams are built in such different ways that the clash of styles in a ballpark that favors Kentucky is going to be a fascinating series to watch.
So, Chris, my final baseball question for you, and the other matchup that I want to get to for this weekend is the series right here in Tuscaloosa. It is number 1 now, Texas A&M at Alabama. Your thoughts on the weekend series between that Gig 'em Aggies and Roll Tide right here in Tuscaloosa?
All right, let's start on the Alabama end. That team got a huge series win, the only team to beat Arkansas all year. I think Alabama's got some pitching depth that's helpful. They got a guy in Greg Ferrone who's been going long distances, gets a decent rate of strikeouts. This is the team that maybe sometimes you need 12, 13 arms in the league to compete. I don't know that they're all great arms, but they might be enough arms. You know, offensively, you've got an offense that's been led by a couple of guys. Gage Miller's been one of the top bats in the league, probably a top 5 bat. TJ McCants has done some things to carry them. I don't think Alabama's as good as A&M. I think A&M is the most complete team in the country. I got to watch them extensively last weekend. This team has a top 3 of the order that I think is as good as anybody in the country. And I have not looked at draft stuff, but I would bet you that Graham Grohovac, who's a freshman, is going to be a top 10 pick 2-3 years from now, whenever he's eligible. I'm presuming he's a junior eligible. Some of these kids are sophomore eligible. He's, I think, on that level. I think Jace Lavalette I guess it'll be next year's draft. Again, I don't know if I think he's a junior eligible guy. So, I mean, he'd have one more year. He's top 5-10, top 10 pick. Braden Montgomery will be eligible this year's draft. He's been the best batter in the league, not named Charlie Condon. He's going to be a top 10 guy off the board. I don't think you have many teams in the country. In fact, I've hardly seen any ever that have got 3 guys at the top of the order that talented. They've got other guys after that. Jackson Appel, their catcher, hits a little bit. Ted Burton, their first baseman, hits. Both those kids are transfers. They've gotten better in that program. Hayden Schott has hit after transferring over from Columbia a little bit. And I think the biggest thing, guys, it's not just a gorilla ball team. They got Ryan Prager, a legit ace on Friday night. They've got the thing that's one of the most valuable commodities in baseball, Evan Aschenbeck, who's that jumbo reliever. Kind of like, who's the kid that Mississippi State had a couple of years ago? Landon Sims. He's not that talented, but they use him in kind of that way, and that he can come in at just about any time and give you 3 or 4 innings and kind of shut a team down. Their other starters are good.
I was about to say, if you see him in the 7th inning or after, it's over. You're not going to do anything against him.
And they defend guys too. I mean, I watched the left side of their infield. Ali Camarillo, their shortstop, makes a ton of plays. Grohovac's pretty good at third. They make plays in the outfield with some speed. This is, right now, as we're doing this mid-April, I think one of the best college baseball teams I've ever seen. We'll see if they can continue it, but they are super, super impressive.
So, Chris, look, man, we are inching closer and closer to the road to Hoover, because Hoover will begin in the SEC tournament in just about a month from now. Enjoy the weekend. Going ahead and let everybody know where they can follow your stuff on social media.
Yeah, most of our stuff is on YouTube, Southeastern 14. Just search it there. We cover football, basketball, baseball. Going to try to get in a couple of the series previews, if I can do that between now and then. Time's just a little bit limited, so we'll see what we can do. But anyway, I hope people will enjoy watching. We'll try to recap the weekend and do some power rankings. And, with basketball clearing up a little bit in terms of the on-court play, that's freed up a little bit more time for me to do baseball. And boy, I've taken a deep dive into that. You can't see all the stuff I've got in front of me, but trust me, it's there.
Right. So, Chris, thank you as always, and we will catch up one day next week.
You bet. Thank you.
Enjoy the weekend, Chris.
All right. See you guys.
So, Heath, that is going to wrap up another edition of the Stingray Show. We hope that you have thoroughly enjoyed it there with Chris Lee, talking all things college baseball. When we come back, we are going to be joined again by Chris Lee one day next week. Our next show will be on Monday evening.